You're on.
Hi everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Friday the 13th Facebook Live.
Oh, yeah, happy Friday.
Our second Friday the 13th Facebook Live. Kelly and Ryan are obviously not here, so we're taking over. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the 13 scariest movies to watch on Friday the 13th. I don't know if you guys will be watching your picks tonight.
I'm gonna watch at least one.
At least one every Friday the 13th.
My siblings and I are very much into horror, spooky movies.
Yeah.
And that's like our tradition to watch something on Friday the 13th. We actually watched Cabin in the Woods one of the Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Last October, I tried to do like one scary movie a night. I couldn't do it. Like I couldn't sleep for the whole month of October. So I couldn't do it. But yeah. Oh, we're also gonna start with check out our Friday the 13th freaky facts. It's on our blog. One of my favorite facts is that Alfred Hitchcock was actually born on Friday the 13th, the grandfather of horror. He's my favorite. So yeah, we'll get right into it. Who wants to start?
Well, so our number one.
Well,
are we saying it's our number
It's not in
one?
order. I think it was just
okay. We're not ranking.
we kind of
just
threw
our
out
list.
names of movies, and
Mhm.
That scared.
I got really excited, so I put a lot on my. It's not my list, but I got really excited and I threw a bunch of movies on there. But you can start.
Well, okay, so we can start with The Shining.
Oh, should we start with my picks,
Do we just wanna, or just we wanna?
just
Do you
talk
want me to
about them? Yeah, sure. We can start with. So I picked The Shining, but I think Lindsay really likes that movie. I don't know if you really like that movie, but I really like
Classic.
it. Yeah, I mean it's a classic. It is a very slow build for me, but by the time it gets to the end,
Yeah.
I think it's really scary and powerful. Yeah, and you gotta watch it.
That's like it's one of those movies that you kind of end up watching every other year because of the fact that it is a classic. And even in our family, my cousins and I, and even my siblings were very attached to that movie where we watch it. It's like one of the first movies on our mind. We're like, oh, let's watch The Shining, and so.
Yeah, and I mean it's a very psychological slow build of like
Yeah.
I feel myself also kind of being like, am I going crazy while
And the
watching
twins,
this?
those twin girls are really creepy.
Yeah. Oh
They're
yeah.
like so scary. Oh my god, I used to have nightmares about those twin girls when I was young.
Did you watch Ready Player One?
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
loved The Shining.
The Shining part of that.
That was my
great.
favorite part of the movie was when they.
Oh yeah, absolutely. when one of the characters goes towards those elevators, and everyone in the audience is like, "Don't do it!" Like, you could feel like the no. Anyway, I mean everyone knows to watch that movie or that movie is great.
I saw it for the first time, I think, when I was in middle school, and I've always had like my top 5 favorite scary movies, and The Shining is definitely on my top 5. And just a disclaimer, like we'll be talking about like actual scenes probably, so spoilers if you haven't seen, but I feel like most people have seen The Shining. But the scene that really messed me up was the room 237 scene, the room that they're not supposed to go in, and then Jack Nicholson goes in there.
Not a good move, Jack.
With the creepy old lady.
Oh, yeah.
That messed me up. It was pretty good when I was a kid.
Just thinking about it.
All right, next one. Scream. Okay, Scream is not super scary to me, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys feel about
Just the
that.
first or the series?
I like the second one. The first one for me is like on my list of just top movies in general. I don't really care about the second and third one. I think that they were fine, But the first one was so good and so like just referential. Like I loved that it honored so many movies before it. I really like slasher movies, so it was an homage to all of those, but at the same time was able to kind of take all of those tropes of like the final girl and like really flip a lot of those like things that we usually see in like slasher and old horror movies and like kind of invert them. So I really like it for that reason. But yeah.
I really like the first Scream a lot because I think the scariest part for me is the opening scene.
Oh yeah, Drew Barrymore is incredible in that.
Oh yeah.
It really brought her back too.
Yeah.
See, the
Like she was not in a good place before that movie, and then after that movie, it was like Drew Barrymore is back.
Yeah.
It's not a problem, but I always get Scream confused with the the
scary movies.
Yeah.
So the ones that were like
the ones
making
that
fun
of
of
it. Yeah. So I always get them confused sometimes because I'm like, okay, is this the real one so I always end up associating the Scream series with the Scary Movie series, and I just find that funny. So.
And all the actors are so like Courtney Cox,
they're so
and Campbell and Drew Barrymore, just like having all of your favorite people in this movie.
Yeah.
That's like very smart and fun. Yeah.
Yeah, Courtney Cox and David Arquette met.
Yeah, they met on that movie.
Yeah.
There you go, just being a horror movie. Okay, so my final pick was it Halloween? I mean, that's a classic slasher movie. I mean, it was Jamie Lee Curtis, right? Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously incredible in that. There's a lot of really good moments. I think it was when one of the girls was in the bedroom and she was expecting the guy to come in. Oh no, like a guy was walking around and a door like slowly shut or something, and there was someone like hanging off the door. That moment changed forever. I was like, I can't open doors the same way anymore.
And they're making a new.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's a
continuing
bunch of
the series,
and Jamie Lee Curtis is in this new
Really?
one, and she's like the main person. I feel like they've done so many new versions.
Well, she did
of
that
them.
Scream Queens too, right? Mm-hmm. That was kind of based off of her being like one of the original final girls and stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I never watched it, but anyway. Moving on. Should we leave Sarah for last? Because I feel like you have the most.
Yeah, I can go at the end. Go with yours.
Okay. So one of my top picks for like scariest movie I've ever seen is Exorcism of Emily Rose, which was based off of a true story. And I love scary movies, but I have like a limit, and like anything that has to do with like exorcisms or anything like that just really messes me up. And I saw this in high school. And it still bothers me to this day. It's like one of those that like doesn't leave you, and it's intense. It is so intense. Like it's really scary. So that one's definitely. Have you guys ever seen it?
I've never seen it. On the list that we have, that's the only movie that I haven't seen. And my sister talks about it, and she says that it's on the level of The Exorcist.
It's really. I mean, it's very good. It's a really good movie, but I watched it one time and I will never watch it.
I think
ever.
maybe I'll watch that tonight.
It's so scary. Okay, this is one of my favorite. I watch this movie every October. The Blair Witch Project.
Oh no.
Is one of my favorite in my top 5 favorite scary movies. Like,
I watched that movie in the dark for the first time, like alone.
Watch it in the dark.
Alone? I was literally like alone, or maybe I was with like one other person, and I couldn't sleep for a week. It was.
Yeah. I think I'm confusing that one with something. Which one is Blair Witch again?
Blair Witch was like
the one that's filmed with the camera, right?
Yeah, it was like the first documentary style,
which is also based off of a real urban. Legend. In like the black, or like in Maryland somewhere in the
I don't remember.
Some forest in Maryland. It's like an urban legend about the Blair Witch. But it was made in like the 90s, I think, and it's kind of cool because they kind of made it seem like it was real, and that was like the whole thing about it was that.
Yeah, like some people just didn't know if it actually happened, or.
But it's just like these 3 people that. They're filmmakers, and they just want to do a documentary about the Blair Witch, and a lot of crazy stuff happens.
And that was the start of. I think it was the start of like very documentary style,
like the handheld camera style.
The like Paranormal Activity, and you know all of it. Like one of the seasons of American Horror Story, Roanoke is kind of like that too. But just really makes you feel like it's you know?
Yeah.
That's true.
And I think that's what the scary thing about it. Like, I could go camping and just end up not being able to get out of a forest.
Just getting lost in the woods.
Yeah, and just encountering a presence.
Well, and I think what makes it so scary is that you don't see anything.
Yeah.
It's only sounds and stuff.
And night vision, for some reason, like, just makes everything look scary.
Oh, yeah. Because you know it's not, like, picking everything up. Like, something's out there.
Yeah. Okay, so that's one of my favorites. And then I've only seen the newer version of this with Ryan Reynolds, but the Amityville Horror.
I've only seen the new version, too.
Really?
I only saw the old version.
Oh.
So together, we make up a collective knowledge.
But I saw this in high school too, and this was another one that really bothers me to this day.
Because it's based on a true story.
This is also based on a true
why
story.
It really messes you up.
It also has to do kind of with like possession, which I hate anything.
I can't if I can't see the thing. That's what really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the beginning of Poltergeist. I love Poltergeist. I mean, Poltergeist wasn't that scary to me because I watched it as an when I was older. So, but not being able to see what's going on.
Yeah, and it's just, a creepy house, paranormal, I just remember there's this one scene in the new one that just, terrified me because there's, a babysitter and she's watching all the kids and I think they're playing hide and seek or something, and she goes into the closet to hide. And there's creepy little girls and older, old ladies in scary movies. I can't.
Children in scary movies.
Children in scary
movies. Yeah.
Children for sure.
But yeah, so those were my picks on the list. Oops, sorry.
So I'm gonna go off of what you said because of the fact that the Amityville Horror and then The Conjuring, which is on my top, the way they're connected is because of the fact that they are based on real stories and it's connected with those two people who investigate these heinous things that happen. But no,
heinous
The Conjuring
crimes.
for sure is the top of my list because that is the only movie till this date that I still think about and I still get scared. Yeah. It's to the point where I still cannot sleep without some sort of covering or sheet in my bed because of the fact that I associate it with that scene. But no, that movie I couldn't sleep for a week. I had to have somebody sleep in my bed next to me because I was legit scared. And I think it's just because of the fact that it's again the thing where you can't actually see things happening, and there's creepy children and there's a creepy old woman and
it's the perfect mix.
Yeah,
of elements.
The part again, spoiler if you guys haven't seen it, so don't listen to this. But the part where she's going down to the basement and she's sitting by the stairs and you hear the clap. I've never screamed that loud in my life. So that movie really, really gets to me still to this day. Yeah. And so that was the first. I have a lot, so I'm gonna go through them quickly.
She's got the bulk of these.
The second one is The Exorcist. Again, a very classic movie, and I'm talking about the old Exorcist, the one that came out.
Yeah, not the 5, the 10, or whatever.
No, I'm talking about the original. That was actually the first scary movie that I watched ever. I was in 7th grade, and I was having.
That was the first one you ever watched?
Yeah, I was in 7th grade. I was having. It was my first birthday sleepover, so I invited all of my friends over to our house, and we watched The Exorcist. And I just, I remember
never watched it.
My sister used to have the bed with the rails in the back.
No.
And so I couldn't sleep or go into her room because every time I went to her room, I saw that and I just associated that with the girl in the movie, and it really threw me off. But that movie, it's weird, it's trippy, it's kind of psychological again, and again, it's with exorcists and exorcism and the whole concept of.
That's why.
Yeah, I watched it a year ago for the first time, and it's
way.
Yeah, and it just kind of passed me by for some reason, but it's so good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Just starts thinking about it.
Okay, so number 3 on my list is The Ring. So good.
It's also in my top 5.
The thing about The Ring, if you guys haven't seen it, there's a creepy girl who comes out of your TV, and you have 7 days until you pass on the tape.
What's creepier than a creepy little girl?
Yeah, and this girl has really long hair, and it's just her face is covered, so you can't see her face, and she has just really long dark hair. And I remember my older sister and my younger sister used to pretend to be that girl, Samara, and they used to scare me and walk around with their hair like that. So, again, like very, very scary. But that guy I really liked the guy in that movie, so
he was cute.
But it was, again, a scary movie.
That's a good one.
Okay, and then number 4 is Paranormal Activity, and I'm talking about the first one.
Yeah.
The second and third were good, but the first one was really, really scary. And my story with the first one is that I watched the midnight premiere.
What? Why?
Because I don't know, my roommate was obsessed with the whole concept of this thing, and so I went with her. And the funny thing is that she actually went back home for the weekend, so I was in the apartment alone that night. So imagine driving home at like 2:30 in the morning, and I swear, I used to never hear noises in that apartment, but for some reason I would hear like weird noises at night, and I was so scared that I probably didn't sleep the whole night. And
yeah, of course you can't.
But
oh god,
that one messed me up too. I refused to watch it for the longest time, and then but I get so intrigued by scary movies, and it was just on TV one day, like 4 years later after it came out, and I was like, I can do it now. Yeah, it's it's really scary, and I think the worst part, spoiler, I think is at the end, because is this also one where they kind of make it seem like it's real, kind of?
Yeah, where it's like movements happen, things are happening in the background, but it's again filmed on like a handheld camera, and you can't actually see what's happening. But
it's like security cameras and stuff, right?
Is it the second or the first one that's with the baby?
I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I think that might be the second
one. Because it scarred me, and I'm never gonna watch it again.
The baby, and the baby starts like moving. And you just see it in the
camera. Oh no! I'm done. I can't even talk about it anymore. We need to move on.
Okay, so I'm the next 3, they're not. I don't really find them to be scary, but they're just classic movies, and I'll go with The Omen first, because the old Omen and the new Omen both have like different elements to them, but they're both creepy because of the fact that kid is creepy.
Yeah.
But there was just something I remember watching that movie, and it was the second one, the one with Julia Stiles, and there was just the scene where they dig up the grave of this animal. I don't want to tell you exactly what happens, but there was just one part that really scared me, and then associating it with numbers and going into details about that, it was trippy.
Right.
Have you seen it?
No.
You should watch it. You should watch both. That's what we did. We watched the old one, and then we watched the new one in one night.
Because again, it's like it's possession, right? It's like demons and stuff.
I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
I can't particularly deal very well with anything like after 2005. Like pre-2005, I think I'm good. But
I think that was the movie that came out on. It came out in 2006. It was like I think it came out on June 6, 2006. So it was just,
really? Of course it did.
Yeah.
See, I can't deal with that.
But yeah. So then the next one on my list is It, which is. We recently watched the new one, and I really liked the way that it was made, and it's not necessarily scary, but there were parts where I actually screamed in theater, because I think it was because of Drea Moore, because Drea was really scared when we watched it.
Shout out to Drea.
It was more scary in the moment.
Yeah, the clown is.
It's a lot of jump scares.
I'm scared of clowns. Clowns scare the.
And this is like,
but I think it's scariest. But I think it's because of movies like this, right? Yeah. Like if there weren't any clown movies, they would be fine, right?
I'm not as scared of clowns as much as my siblings are, but they like refused to watch the trailer because they were scared.
Like,
And
no.
they're even the first like
Mhm.
10 minutes, 5-10 minutes of that movie, like it really gets to you and it's jumpy. And
I think it's just that gutter scene in the beginning because his eyes and like he's
and the projector scene, that's the one where they have the slideshow and then
yeah,
again,
he like
spoiler.
comes out of and you don't a lot of it
You
you're not
don't-
expecting.
You don't expect, like in these type of movies, you think that you expect it, but this was a great example of a movie that they didn't show that much in trailers, so that's why it really got you.
Yeah.
And watching it in theaters, it's kind of crazy. Like I remember people were screaming in the theater.
Oh,
yeah,
when they
I
watch it.
don't really scream out loud that much, but like there was one scene with a scary painting, like a woman comes out of a painting, and I screamed so it scared me.
Yeah. Okay, and so the last movie on my list is Saw. It's not scary; it's more gory, but the twist in the end of the first movie, like I remember like getting up out of my seat and being like, oh my god, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
Yeah, you
But
don't see it.
it's the first, I think it was the first two I really, really loved, and then after that it was kind of like, okay, like they're getting like, it's like too much.
Yeah, it's kind of become like a, every October a new Saw comes out, but the first one
but
is
the first one really
well
set
done.
the tone for these movies, and it was
It's
really, really good.
In the interest of time, because I feel like we've probably been here for like 2 hours.
We could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
Drea did want us to mention, it's not part of our 13 because she's not here to defend her choice, but she did want us to mention what movie?
Darkness Falls.
Darkness Falls. She thinks that movie is very scary. I don't know. She's
I
not
haven't
here to
seen
defend her
If
choice,
you
so.
haven't seen it, it's basically, I think it's supposed to be like about the tooth fairy or
Cool.
something, but it's scary because this creepy old woman, only comes out at night, and yeah, I think that's what makes it so scary. Is
Right.
only at night when it's dark. That's when she comes out.
When everything bad happens.
Yeah.
But I hope you guys can watch one of these
our
recommendations
picks.
tonight because it is Friday the 13th, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably watch Exorcism of Emily Rose because I haven't seen it, and I'm like in the mood now because
Watch it with the lights on.
no,
with
that's
people.
not fun. You need to watch it with the lights off in your blankets, like snuggling next to like your family members or friends. Like that's when it's fun.
Have fun with that.
Alright, well, we'll see everybody next
Next
Friday.
week.
Have a very spooky Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Bye.